Good day. I'm still here in Tampa, Florida, probably for another 2 weeks. Then I'll be heading out to California, see some relatives, and then be heading back to the Philippines, maneuver through these new rules they got for bloggers there, I guess. What my topic is today is Filipino food in general and definitely in the USA. I know supposedly things like banana ketchup and a couple more things are actually outlawed here because of stuff they have in them. In general, I've eaten at two Filipino places in the US so far, both in the Tampa area. I've eaten before when I lived in California. I've eaten there, and I have had some decent food, but nothing like fantastic. I think the food is in general is better what I've had in the Philippines, which you kind of expect. But some of the problems are when I've gone here, the presentation is not very nice. It doesn't, if you were just trying Filipino food for the first time and you see kind of what's displayed at these restaurants, you probably wouldn't go back. If you taste, it's heavy. A lot of them, they just heavy in grease, and it's just not very appealing. There's some things, some vegetable stuff has some color in it, but in general, they sit in these pans and kind of greasy looking, and just not very. It doesn't make you want to eat them. And then Filipino food in general, even though I love like sisig. I love, I always, everybody I would think would like pancit and lumpia, those things. But, some of the soups, I have a thing for chicken soups, stuff like that, Filipino chicken soup, sinigang, a lot of people like dinuguan. In general, if you're trying to try Filipino food for the first time in the U.S. or somewhere, and you went and ate it, usually, at least my experiences, there's nothing, if I didn't already know the food, that would make me go, wow, I want some more of that. I want to go back. And the other problem I have at the Filipino restaurants I've tried, I can make it, or my wife can make it better than what we're eating out, they have at the restaurant. And why am I going to go out and pay, like in the USA, $50-$60 for some Filipino food that I can make better at home for far cheaper? So that's some of the issues. And like when, if you're maybe Filipino in the U.S., you probably do cook a lot at home. But if you don't, you eat out, you're going to be paying a price. Plus, I haven't had any place, even in California, that overwhelmed me, that like, wow, this stuff's really great. I really haven't had it. On the other hand, compare that to Thai food, Vietnamese food, other cuisines from Southeast Asia, and those a lot of times will have that wow factor, and it looks more appealing. A lot of it is all about presentation. Filipino food, when I've gone to these restaurants, like I said, the presentation is awful. It really is. So a lot of it does have to do with presentation. And then the reason I kind of like definitely Vietnamese food better and Thai food is that Thai food, a lot of it's very healthy. Vietnamese is very healthy. I know I talked to a Vietnamese. I don't know how, if it's true for everybody, but I talked to a couple when I was in Saigon, and I asked them if they ate McDonald's, because they had McDonald's there and a couple other fast food from America. And they said, no, that's for the tourists. We don't eat that, basically garbage. I'm sure that's not the case for everybody, but many people do eat that healthy food to promote healthy living there. People are out very early. They put exercise equipment in the park. People are out walking, exercising on different types of equipment, and they just stick to that healthier lifestyle. Not saying you can't eat healthy Filipino food. You can if you watch what you eat, but too much of it is based on grease. I blame the U.S. for a lot of that, bringing fried, greasy food to the Philippines. And so a lot of that stuff, anything to do with their pork, just really got a lot of grease to it. I'm sure if you live there, you have to agree with me on that. But back to what the purpose of the video is why isn't Filipino food catching on in the U.S. as much as other cuisines do, even Southeast Asia cuisines? And like I said, a lot of it presentation, a lot of it is very unhealthy. There's a lot of grease, and again, I'll stress presentation just isn't very inviting to eat. That's just my opinion. You may have totally different opinion, but that's just me in general. And I see this question pop up a lot. Why is Filipino food considered less desirable than other cuisines? I do like the Thai, Vietnamese, but personally, I like Greek food. I like foods from Spain, Italy. I just love Italian food, but food from Greece, Spain. I like a lot of Caribbean food, such as Puerto Rican food, Dominican food. I love Cuban food. It's just a lot of it has to do with seasoning and the way they cook things. But yeah, to each their own. I would love to see Filipino food catch on here more in the U.S. than it does. And one thing I will say is LA, I think they have one here, and other places they're going, some of the younger chefs are going to this Filipino fusion thing, trying to make the food more appealing to your average individual, to get more people to try Filipino food. I think that's a good thing. If you can throw a twist on something, make it more appealing, more presentable, better tasting, maybe a little healthier, then I think that's a good thing. But those are just some of my thoughts about food here, Filipino food, and why it's maybe not taking the U.S. by storm, other than maybe Jollibee. And Jollibee is usually centered around cities that have a large Filipino population. Or it's, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, wherever it is, wherever there's a large Filipino population, that's where it's centered. Again, personally, I don't like Jollibee. Now, the chicken's okay, but I actually like the chicken in Jollibee in the U.S. much better than I do in the Philippines. Just probably the chicken itself, but that's just me. But anyway, that's some of the things I want to talk about. I will be kind of doing a video shortly, probably maybe my next one, talking about money transfer for foreigners, banking, some other things that would maybe help other veterans. I know I've had people request that, and it again be from my standpoint, but if I can help somebody else, then that's a good thing. We'll go from there. But again, thanks for watching. Just my opinion on why Filipino food isn't taking the U.S. by storm. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I appreciate it. Take care always.